Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got a good one for you today. XRP, potentially a bearer bond? And what in the world is a bearer bond? Well, it's important for you to know. Let's roll that beautiful intro.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradley above at the top of the screen and everything that we're talking about here today. Let's go ahead and quickly move through this. Now, you will see some clips that you've seen before, but trust me, stay with me because we're going to take you somewhere you have not been before. And right now, it is happening. HSBC to close 82 branches, claiming customers are turning to digital banking. It's going on, and that's how it starts. Breaking news. Citi extended partnership with Ripple. Now, that is through Volante's Volpay, and that is exciting because there is a huge network payment system in Volante. So that is exciting stuff. And the point of the last piece that we just talked about and this piece here with SBI setting up and the vision of connecting Japan, China, and Singapore together, and Switzerland, I believe it, Switzerland, Japan, and Singapore, it is important because we're watching Ripple continue to put the plan in action regardless of what's taking place here in the United States domestically with the SEC Ripple lawsuit. And I think that's very important. So just to correct myself here, it is Japan, Switzerland, Singapore corridor that Yoshitaka Kitao and SBI are continuing to set up, as well as the news before that, the extension of Volante's Volpay with the partnership with Ripple. So very good stuff. They continue to press on, and I think that's really the right way to handle it because it really forces the SEC to not sit back and wait. Now, we know we're also getting a new wash of regulatory heads, including the SEC. Gary Gensler has been cited as the new SEC chair for the new administration moving in. We also see here Tom Emmer wanted to thank Brian Brooks for all of his innovation and efforts and really helping to craft this space, and it was really well written. Remarks here from Brian Brooks. He comments on the way out and says, finally, don't combine politics and innovation. House Financial Services Chairperson Maxine Waters proposes reversing the innovation that occurred in the last 4 years. She seeks to eliminate the power of the comptroller to grant bank charters to the payment and technology firms. She wants to retract the ability for banks to hold cryptocurrency assets and to rescind guidance that banks can support digital coins. She also wants to overturn the rule for when valid loans are made. This would reduce access. Well, I don't like to dabble in the political arena unless it starts to crisscross and meet me at a crossroads of my investments or things that matter in my life. So for me, if I was in that area, I would be looking for some other representation to handle that because it's clear to me that it's an exposure that she is catering to her big donors, which are obviously banks. So looking here, this is a comment. Now I'm going to take you through some information. I want you to stay with me now. We're not repeating. It's about trying to really keep this conversation very open about the potential outcomes for XRP and the Ripple lawsuit with the SEC. Will it be a security? Will it not be a security? Well, look, I've said before very openly, I don't care what they call it, as long as they don't harm the intended use of XRP and it can operate at full scale. You can call it whatever you want. Now, with that being said, it always has gotten me since Brad Garlinghouse congratulated Gary Gensler and said he's ready to work with the SEC leadership to broaden the Biden administration to chart a path forward for blockchain and crypto innovation in the U.S. Well, that's exciting, but we know that Gary Gensler sees XRP as an unregistered security. Let's hear here.
So Hugo has asked about the token XRP and whether I think it's a non-compliant security. I've spoken publicly. Yes, I do think it's a non-compliant security.
And that's all you need to hear there. And that is who is coming in to head up the SEC. Now, listen again. Now, I've played these clips for you, but stay with me. We're going to another place today. Okay, because it's a further defining place if this outcome should come to light. So let's stay with this. Listen to Dilip Rao at his time at Ripple here.
Does this hurt or harm? Well, it creates a lot of noise. And, we certainly don't want that much noise. Say is very shallow trading by individuals.
He's talking about retail trading.
So, it's kind of chicken and egg. You have to create a marketplace. And right now, we have about 150, 200 exchanges around the world that trade in XRP. A lot of it, as you say, is very shallow trading by individuals. And that is not the use case that we are pursuing. What we are pursuing is the use of XRP as a financial asset by sophisticated institutions as a bridging mechanism. So does this hurt or harm? Well, it creates a lot of noise. And, we certainly don't want that much noise. But we're waiting. And for example, this last quarter, the bulk of XRP sales were to institutional investors. And as this transitions away from retail to institutions who will start to use it for wholesale, financial usage, that's when the turning point will come.
And I believe that turning point is now. And I also believe firmly that that's what this lawsuit is really about. It is about the turning point to move now away from the noise of the retail investors. And boy, is he right about that. You only need to surf crypto Twitter to find a noise for a lifetime. And the reality is that they're pivoting away from that is what it feels like to me. And getting this decision is going to be a part of that. Now, we know that Brad Garlinghouse has said openly he sees XRP as a currency. Well, so do I. And you know what? And that and 50 cents won't get you a cup of coffee. But the reality is maybe it's just about that positioning and that pivoting. And this is how you begin to shut the door on the noisy retail investor who doesn't bring as much money as they do noise, right? And, then I look at this and get reaffirmed that Brad Garlinghouse has been very open about this fact.
We are not, and to be very clear, we are not focused. I've said this a bunch. The consumer speculator is not our target market.
That's all you need to know. The consumer speculator, you and I, are not their target market. That does not make Brad Garlinghouse a bad guy. It does not make Ripple a bad company. It does not make XRP, in my eyes, a bad thing to hold. But that's not financial advice. It's just my perspective. And the reality here is when I hear him say that, I hear him acknowledging that the ultimate intended use is not the consumer speculator. And it makes sense to me. Look, we only bring enough liquidity to the game to keep it around 20 or 30 cents or so. So with that being said, let's keep moving. So what is XRP if Gary Gensler comes in and says it's clearly a security to him? Well, Ripple already has private equity that they sell. They sell stock shares, private equity stock shares to different people and companies that want to buy into the company of Ripple. If XRP were to be a security, maybe it gets a designation that looks a lot more like a bearer bond used to be. Back in the day, I remember my grandmother had some, and shout out to Big Skinny, because him and I had an amazing conversation about this, and him and I have gone back and forth. I mean, you couldn't even imagine. But we've spent a lot of time talking about this, and for this security outcome, maybe if we get a designation that goes that way, maybe this could be one of the ways that they take it. And I don't think it would harm the intended use and the full-scale use of XRP in the long run if they did so. So let's run through that. If they were to give a bearer bond definition, a bearer bond is a fixed income security that is owned by the holder. Now, the difference between a registered bond that you could get today in any market versus a bearer bond is simply that the ownership is not really on it. Whoever holds, literally physically holds the bearer bond, owns the bearer bond. There's no name and account information or anything attached to a bearer bond. In fact, broadly here in the United States, they were discontinued in 1982 because it was a big way that people were using to hold bearer bonds to avoid paying taxes, as you can imagine. So obviously, that wouldn't be an issue these days because everything is really tracked on a digital ledger, now isn't it? Now let's keep going with the idea about this bearer bond being a fixed income security. I don't know. Maybe that even talks about a price set, and they could look at it as a bond in that regard, because if you're synchronizing and collateralizing this ledger with utility and volume, you could provide a floor price for this potential bearer bond, XRP. And by the way, remember, David Schwartz reminded us before we went to Singapore in 2019 that you could issue stablecoins off of the XRP ledger, which means you could issue a stablecoin for the XRP that you hold. Come on in. Another interesting point is knowing that we've been able to see inside of the SEC Ripple lawsuit. What else do we know? We also know that the tolling agreement started in April of 2019, and then just shortly after, in November, David Schwartz comes out with the information letting all of us know that you can issue stable coins off of the XRP ledger and XRP itself, right? So maybe they knew from the tolling agreements and the negotiations between the SEC, even back then, that we need to develop the network and let everyone that uses the network or intends to know that this is something that they can go and the route that we can go should we need to if these negotiations don't pan out. Or maybe it was the plan all along. It doesn't matter. But it fits, and it fits until it doesn't, right? Now, moving on here, a bearer bond, just a full definition, is a bond or a debt security. A debt security issued by a business entity, such as a corporation or a government. Well, banks also do this too. They did it back in the day. Banks typically issue bearer bonds, sometimes called coupon bonds, to hold in exchange for an investment. Really? Like we're all holding this bond right now, knowing that it could be worth a lot more when the volume and utility of these massive financial institutions around the world begin to synchronize on the network and use that payment rail for settlement? You're damn right. And then looking here before we go, this is the IMF document we went over about the treatment of crypto assets in a macroeconomic statistics. Looking on page 27, lo and behold, they break down the classifications at the International Monetary Fund on how they see crypto assets. And as they break down the pyramid here, look at this. We get to debt securities, and you could have a utility token that's a trade security and debt security. Hybrid token, which obviously could work as a utility or asset or debt security or equity security. I'm not saying that it is this, but I'm saying we have proven a path that if they get a security designation, you could see this, because the IMF has a schematic here and a diagram that certainly lays out the potential for such a thing to happen. And I think if they did issue it as a bearer bond, it'd be a way of saying you don't own a part of Ripple, because that's what the private equity from Ripple is for. That is the stock to Ripple if you own that. XRP, however, is a bearer bond to the ledger, because the ledger has value, and the value is in the protocol. Who taught us that? Oh, that's right. This guy, Glenn Hutchins. Let's listen to him say it again.
You just make use of the technology and the protocols make it work. The people who really understand what's going on with digital currencies understand that putting these protocols in place, the blockchain protocol, the Ethereum protocol, the Ripple protocol, and then enabling those protocols to cause transactions to occur. And then those transactions can be defined very broadly as not just moving things of value, but anything that's got an information content, is extraordinarily transformative. The focus on the value of the token is distracting and uninformative. So
I don't think you could say it any better than that. That's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment below, and share with somebody you know. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Make sure you check out all the links in the description box and the comment section for anything that you may want or need. They are trusted, vetted links that are products and services that I use each and every day. I'll catch you on the next one.